Okay, these notifications here. I can do YouTube on my mobile, right? Oh, there it is.
Yes, you can.
Okay. Yeah, this mobile, yeah. I don't know why it gives all this notifications.
You can stop share.
Eh? What?
We are live. Stop share. A very good afternoon to all of you. We are very happy to have our very eminent speakers for the day. And I would request our principal, Dr. Geeta Ibrahim, to first begin with her opening remarks.
Good afternoon to all of you, and a very warm welcome to each one of you and to our very own Anagha and Madhu. Very, very happy to see both of you here after such a long time. And I really congratulate the Department of Textiles and Fashion Technology, Dr. Ela and her dynamic team for organizing this international webinar today on sustainable material and processes. It's definitely a need of the hour. That term itself, sustainable, is something that we all have to now work towards. And especially with the pandemic, this is something that the department has taken up very seriously, and really grateful to Anagha and to Madhu to spare their valuable time and to be with us this afternoon. It's been ages, I think, since we are connecting, and it's always a great pleasure to interact, if not physically, but at least virtually. We are going to hear them, and even to look at them on the screen is a great pleasure. And I thank the textile department for organizing this. I'm sure there are a lot of participants very eager to learn from both these stalwarts in their own field. And it's going to be a very gainful, rainy afternoon, at least here in Mumbai. I don't know what the weather is otherwise. But in this pandemic situation, this is something that we are all looking forward to. So once again, congratulations and welcome to all the participants globally. And, again, thanks to Anagha and Madhu for being with us. So I wouldn't say too many thanks because you are still our very own, and you are part of Nirmala Niketan. So I think I've lost the connection.
Thank you, Dr. Geeta. I welcome each one of you on the YouTube, all the participants. A very warm welcome to all of you all for having tuned on an afternoon. Maybe you've had lunch, maybe you haven't, but you're still a part of this very important event. And my thanks to Dr. Geeta Ibrahim, principal, for her constant support, to the management for having supported us throughout, and to my very own teammates, my colleagues, without whom this day was not possible. At the outset, I would like to welcome Dr. Anagha Sucheta, Vaidya Sucheta, and Dr. Madhu Kothari. Very rightly said, you are our own. You are our own alumni who have studied in the college. You are our own alumni teachers who have taught several students. So you are a part of us in every way. But still, there is a difference because you have moved away from the country to pursue your professional dreams far away from India. So, Dr. Anaga is right now going to uh, interact with us from Mauritius and Dr. Madhu from London. We are very happy to welcome the two of you all and getting connected to us. They have moved miles away, not only physically, but they have also grown many, many folds in different ways. And all this is only possible with an international exposure and because they have allowed that exposure to happen to themselves. The one thing that I will say is that common amongst all of us right now over here on the Zoom right now, all the 9 staff of the department are there, including me, Dr. Pratima Goyal, we have Dr. Vishaka Karnad, we have Dr. Ritu Madan, we have Mrs. Neha, Miss Neha Mulchandani, Mrs. Vrinda Udyavar, uh, Mrs. Dr. Anjali Srivastav, Mrs. Sangamitra Navalgun, and Mrs. Vibhuti Kedekar. I would say along with all the 9 of us, I've mentioned each one's names very specifically because all of us and the 2 of you have still got one string common. And that common is sustainability. All of us are in the pursuit of sustainability wherever we are in whichever corner of the world, whether it is the raw material used, whether it is the processes, whether it is the deliveries, the merchandise, the marketing, and so on. So we thought that let's have our alumni who also match with global dreams of the UN and work towards those UN goals. We thought let's have a presentation and hear you, Anaga, after 20 years and Madhu after 13 years. We will be hearing you on the professional side. Of course, there are a lot of other things that we exchange on the personal front, but it is our pleasure. And I'm really very happy to introduce Dr. Anaga Sucheta, Vaidya Sucheta, who is heading the Department of Applied Sustainability and Enterprise Development under the Faculty of Engineering, University of Mauritius. She holds 38 years of successful career as an academician, researcher, and administrator. Prior to her appointment at Faculty of Engineering, University of Mauritius in 2001, as I already mentioned, she was lecturing at Nirmala Niketan, College of Home Science, Textile and Fashion Technology, Mumbai, since 1982. I would say in that sense, she is 1 year my senior. In Mumbai, she was associated as a visiting faculty at NIFT Mumbai, Gujarat Research Center, that is a regional vocational training institute, and several others. Anaga's research encompasses the field of sustainable product design and development, as well as textile and fashion design. She has publications in several research areas and has supervised projects. With this very, very brief introduction, I know Anaga has done lots in her professional world. With these very few words, we would really want to take this session further. I would also like to introduce our second panelist today. But before I move on to that, I would also say that Anaga is also, her son is contributing to the defense in UK. And we are very, very happy about him. We've seen him grow as a child, Anish. So we wish him the very best too. Dr. Madhu Kothari, currently in London, has done her bachelor's and master's from SNDT Women's University, joined Nirmala Niketan for a UNDP project on natural dyes, and thereafter also started teaching in the college. And as she was always interested in teaching, she further pursued her dream of PhD, of course, under my guidance. And her love for Indian crafts led her to her research on animal adornments of Kutch and Rajasthan. She taught at SNDT Design School and also at our college. She moved to UK and went to work in the industry as a designer and garment production field. She has been in the same industry for the last 13 years. She has a keen interest in traditional Indian textiles, saris, and so on. Personally, I know her too. Her husband, Amit Kothari, who is a businessman, and her two children, Shaurya and Aryaki, both of them who are in in the academic field, they're still studying. Uh, Aryaki is studying medicine, and I'm not sure. I think he's gone for engineering, Shaurya. So we are very proud of you. You have also grown. And I would just like to add one more feather in Madhu's. I would just like to say in her cap, I would just like to add one feather. She's a committed Hare Krishna devotee, and that has taken precedence over many other things in life. So, with these few words, we would like to welcome the two of y'all. We will be having a presentation of the two of y'all. We will have questions raised from YouTube, as well as we will have one rapid round with the staff who are also on the YouTube who will also ask you questions. We'll begin after your presentation. We'll begin with the questions on from the Zoom, and then we'll move to the YouTube questions. So I welcome all the participants to keep remaining tuned in, raise your questions, and I also welcome Anaga's mother, who is also watching her presentation today, and also Madhu's husband, who's also viewing her show. So welcome all of you all from the distant parts of the country and India. Thank you so much. We'll begin with Anaga.
Yep. Thank you, Dr. Geeta, and thank you, Ela, for all those lovely words. I'm feeling absolutely emotional. I'm kind of running down memory lane, thinking of all those nice times that I have spent at Nirmala Niketan. Okay? I've had so many, nearly 18, 19 years as a lecturer there. And before that, having been a student of Nirmala Niketan, I feel really humbled and proud to associate myself with all of you. First of all, let me congratulate each one of you, your entire team, for having been able to get everyone together on this platform. I know it's really difficult times that India is going through, especially with the pandemic that's going on. And I sincerely hope each one of you in your own way are taking care of yourself, your families, and everyone around. Well, at Mauritius, we've been having a better situation. We have been able to combat this pandemic. And for the past 2 months, we've not had any active cases, though there were about 3 cases which were imported, but even they are towards recovery. So at the moment, fortunately, we really don't have any cases in Mauritius. Everyone's still taking care, and we have gradually got back to work. Let me start with my presentation, and I will be talking about unleashing the power of materials for sustainable product design and development. To begin, I would like to introduce the sustainable goals. And as we all know that in September 2015, the United Nations made history. 193 member states unanimously adopted the Sustainable Development Goals, 17 goals that the world aspires to achieve by 2030. These Sustainable Development Goals aim to economically develop the world in such a way that it eliminates poverty, respects planetary boundaries, and leaves no one behind. "17 Sustainable Goals, or they are also known as SDGs, are an urgent call for action by countries. whether they are developing countries or developed countries, and they all are coming together in a global partnership. The international community agreed that every country is responsible for achieving these goals, and that all members of society, governments, businesses, and civil society, everyone needs to participate. They recognize that ending poverty and other deprivations must go hand in hand with strategies that improve health and education, reduce inequality, and spur economic growth, all while tackling climate changes and working to preserve our oceans and forests. But what do we mean by sustainability? You have probably heard the term sustainability in some context or another. It is likely that you have some product or service that was labeled as sustainable, or perhaps you're aware of organizations that focus on sustainability. You may recognize that sustainability has to do with preserving or maintaining resources. We often associate sustainability with things like recycling, using renewable energy sources like the solar power or wind power, and preserving natural spaces like a rainforest and coral reefs. Well, if you simply put, sustainability is the capacity to endure or to continue. If a product or activity is sustainable, it can be reused, recycled, or repeated in some way because it has not exhausted all the resources or energy required to create it. Sustainability can be broadly defined as the ability of something to maintain itself. Sustainability has to do with preserving resources, energy over the long term, rather than exhausting them quickly to meet short-term needs or goals. Well, this is the most widely quoted definition of sustainability, and it comes from Bertland Commission of the United States in 1985, which defined a sustainability as meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their own needs. Economic factors are important. And sustainability also counts for the social and environmental consequences of human activity. This concept is referred to as the three pillars of sustainability, which asserts that true sustainability depends upon three interlocking factors: environmental preservation, social equity, and economic viability. Well, it is about planet, it is about people, and it is about profits. When we talk about people, it means that we have got to have good communities. We have got to have good conditions for the workforce. It is also about planet. It is about the environment. We have got to have environmental sustainability. Sustainability is also about profits. Well, this is of no good if we are going to go out of business. Well, you can now say that sustainability is a huge area, and there has been some amounts of progress that's been seen from the governments who are introducing new laws, from businesses that introduce new policies and ways of manufacturing. Even members of the public are aware of the issue. We try to do our best so that we can buy things which are green. You would see that there are millions of different products on the world market, but few have been designed to be truly sustainable. And for me, I feel that designers here have a big role to play where products are designed. By designing products in the right way, we could minimize the negative impacts on the environment and also improve the society. when we talk about sustainability, we also need to think about how the product is being designed. And that is why designers play an important role. There are basically 5 principles of sustainable product design. So sustainable product design can encapsulate the sections of materials. And here you can see that there is use of resources, production requirements, planning for the final disposition of products. So this may either be recycling, reusing, remanufacturing, or disposals. It provides opportunity to incorporate green and social responsible attributes to a product. Sustainable product design sometimes requires bringing people together. Implementing sustainability in the product design can produce numerous benefits to a company, as the focus on the resource efficiencies that can reduce cost, often shorten production time. And then when people come together in order to plan product design, it can also have diversification in the product and also innovations in the product processes. Green production. It is an aspect of green design processes for the product. It keeps a check on wasted resources in production to increase productivity. It also brings down costs and deduct impact on environment. It is focused on continuous improvement. Recognizing that reducing environment and social impact is a circular process that begins and ends and begins again, and with the inquiry into how to make products of a better quality. We need to use fewer resources so that we can also create less or no waste. All in all, the hazardous waste requires to be minimized. Well, we can see that there are 6 sources of waste that every company needs to be addressed. For every business, they need to look into these kind of issues, whether they are getting into overproduction. Because with overproduction, more products are coming into the market, more products than what you can sell, and this leads to wastage of raw materials, wastage of energy, water. You may have to do with all this excess production, and that may end up trying to recycle these products, or it may even get into landfills. And so overproduction is one issue that every company needs to address. Inventory. Well, the amount of goods that are being stored. This could also lead to more inventory space that could be used. You may require more energy if it is something with storing in a cold environment, or something that has to be that has a shelf life, right? And so you may need to pack it properly. Okay, so packaging also is going to increase the cost. So again, the manner in which things are being stored have to be taken into consideration. Transportation and motion. Well, while transporting goods, you need to look into opportunities to reduce energy, the emissions that go along with transportations, or it could be certain damages that come into being. While production, there has to be a check on the amount of defects that are being generated. Defects also require that extra efforts of recycling or landfilling to dispose them off. And additional energy, water, and labor also come into being with more number of defects. Over-processing is another point. Waiting, especially when there are bottlenecks in the production, when or there are interruptions which are there in the productions. These two need to be reduced to the maximum. Green production design. The highest criterions of green production designs are considering recycling fully, reduce the waste, increase product durability. The material's fitness has to be taken into consideration, that it should be easy to decompose after it has been used, or it should also be easy to assemble later on. When you are doing green product design, saving energy resource is another thing that needs to be taken into consideration. And so selecting the least polluting materials is equally important. While doing all this, you really need to look into the life cycle assessment. Life cycle assessment of a product is also called as cradle to grave analysis. This is an analysis analysis where the environmental impact is checked, which is associated with every stage of the product's life. That is right from the time the product is made, the initial time to the final. So the assessment has to be done in relation to the raw material extraction, to the final disposal of the product, involving processing, manufacturing, distribution, use, repair and maintenance, and how the product is going to be disposed, or whether the product can even be recycled. Well, these are the aspects that should be taken into account while designing a product with the aim of sustainability. Product lifespan is important. It will product lifespan important because when we consider the product lifespan, it will also improve the durability of the product, and it will increase the value of the product. You need to reduce the waste. Okay, so because reducing waste will have a good impact on the environment. Material choices are important. You need to examine the availability of green materials to substitute for other materials, especially try to consider renewable materials or non-conventional sources. And that could be chosen so that they could have a less environmental impact. Shift to renewables, some of which are already cost effective. This can enhance the sustainable energy supply and can reduce local pollution and greenhouse gas emissions. Another aspect that has to be considered is recycling. For a sustainable product, when you investigate the end of product life, you need to make a product that can either be recycled, or even if it has to be disposed, it should be disposed in a proper manner. Well, we've been looking into what goes in sustainable product designing and how materials also play a role in the sustainability of products, especially when we are designing. Researchers are continuously tinkering to expand their knowledge, few materials, and find the new materials and manufacturing processes. This activity includes the exploration of sustainable materials, sustainable design, and production technology. So during production, in order to produce a sustainable product, these three aspects have to be considered: the sustainability of the materials, the sustainable design, and production technology. All these three will lead us to better materials. I would now like to take you through some research that we are doing at the University of Mauritius in the Department of Applied Sustainability. I have excerpts of different research where we have tried to implement products that will be more sustainable. The first one is processing and transforming kitchen fibrous waste into lifestyle products. This project was done to fabricate materials and biocomposites were made using fibrous kitchen waste. So the kitchen waste was transformed into value-added products. Here you can see the range of products that were added, and these are nursery pots that were done. So different types of kitchen waste were taken. There were orange peels, there were orange peels, lemon peels, there were onion skins, garlic skins. So all the different types of kitchen waste, even carrots. So whatever waste we got from the kitchen, these were taken and composites were made out of it. And these were then turned into making of nursery pots.
Can you
Well,
speak
we
a
went on
little
further.
louder, Anagha, little louder?
Oh, okay. We went on for, is that okay now?
Yeah, better.
Okay. We went on further to make pencils, coasters, and candles. And to test these pencils which were made, even donated to the children in school. And they really enjoyed it because some of the pencils would smell very well with having the fragrance of orange or lemon, and it was well appreciated. Another project was based again on household waste, organic household waste, and this was bioproduction, biogas production. So we went on to develop and prepare a small plant which could be kept just outside the kitchen. Now, fortunately, in Mauritius, most of the people have a kitchen garden and they do have a yard where this is possible. So, this was an anaerobic digester which was developed, and then it did generate a good amount of gas. And then we went on to test this gas. So one of the best thing that happened was the test that we found was that the gas, when it was used, it gave a hot, clear flame. And also, the purity of the gas was tested because by checking whether it was leaving any stains on the underneath of the vessel that was being used. Well, we went on for another project whereby we upcycled cooking oil, waste cooking oil into soaps. This was basically done because we realized that the small hotel industry which we have in Mauritius, they just like dispose of rancid oil or used oil. And in order to prevent this from happening, we felt that why not put all this oil to use? So this oil was purified, it was cleaned properly, and then we went on to prepare soaps by the process of saponification. Well, these had to be tested, and you can see some of the products that were developed. Okay, they had to be tested to see whether these soaps were good to the skin, and so we conducted various chemical tests, such as trying to check on the pH value and whether it left any odor even after the soaps were made, and we did get very good results. One project was the project where we tried to generate electrical energy from the Ravinala tree. This tree is commonly seen all over Mauritius, and it's also called as the traveler's tree. So what happens is that during photosynthesis, the energy from the sunlight, it generates chemical bound energy. The process of electrolysis will then convert this chemical energy into the tree into electrical energy. So the electrical energy was then tapped, it was then drawn into batteries. We used the anodes and the cathodes and we got them into the batteries. And we did see that we were able to light a small lamp. Okay, so the system showed scope in providing a potentially revolutionary technology as a source for renewable bioenergy. This is an ongoing project now. It is the development of biocomposites with fiber plants as fillers for disposables in hospitals and clinics. We are producing biodegradable and compostable composite products that can serve as in hospitals as disposable trays of bowls. And we are focusing on using agro-waste biomass, banana pseudostem, water hyacinth, and wakwa leaf fiber. That is one of the indigenous plants that is grown in Mauritius. So we are extracting fibers from these plants, and we are trying to develop uh, products which can be used as disposables in the hospital. So you can see the development still going on. We've tried the casting methods, and we've been able to manage urine pots or even bedpans. Another project which was done was for income generation. So the development of domestic portable solar cooker for dehydration and conservation of fruits and vegetables. We have enough sunlight all over the year in Mauritius, but the use of solar cookers or solar dehydrators are not seen very throughout the country. And so we brought about this project where we used cans, beverage cans, and developed a solar food dehydrator. And then you can see the prototype that was developed, and it was tried and tested. And so we gave demonstrations to the SMEs where they could develop their own kits and produce these solar cookers and get dehydrated food products. Another innovative technique was where we used seeds. We conserved these seeds and used them as embellishment for textiles. Well, the seeds had to be preserved. They had to they promoted creativity. It was also to revive the seed art culture. And so we explored a lot many seeds around the island. So these are some of the seeds which you can see, which are seen all over the country. Well, we had to go through a preservation and conservation process. We had to do fabric manipulations in order to embellish them. And a wide range of manipulation techniques were tried out. Here you can see some of the techniques. There were hand embroideries, there was printing that was done, there were pleats, different combinations of materials were used so that they would be compatible with the seeds. We also had to do a test where we could try to see whether these could be conserved well even after washing. So the maintenance had to be seen. After that, we also went on to do a collection of by using all these seeds and embellishing garments. And also this was a feasibility test to see whether they could also be accepted as a new source of fashion material. Another experiment was where we tried a seed paper. Handmade paper, that is a plantable paper, was made with seeds. An added quality to this paper was the incorporation of compost. We tried to make this paper so that the paper itself would have quality which would help the seed to germinate, right? And so we tried doing this, and then here you can see an experiment where This paper was done with banana peels and the experiments, and you can see that it did manage to germinate when we carried out the test. We've been carrying out projects using different materials, recycling waste glass with cement resins into solid, sustainable solid surfaces. And here you can see that these surfaces were developed for making use in interior decorations. Another project was upcycling knitted fabric waste into reinforced composites. The economy of Mauritius, it's based on the textile industry. We have a large textile industry here, and as all textile industries, even here there's a lot of fabric waste. So we collected all these fabric waste from the industry and developed composites. You can see here that uh, there was design development that was done. Then using the materials, using design, using technology, we managed to even do a prototype. This project is also being taken further by using fabrics in a more designed fashion and trying to generate more and more uh, products and prototypes that would have more of a designed aspect. Pine wood shavings. Even this was tried. We got very good results with this. And here you can see all the surface ornamentations that were done using pine wood. And the collection using pine wood, which was tested. Well, this is also another innovative project which was done. Conservation and use of fish scales for embellishment of fabrics as a source of fashion materials. Well, nothing fishy about it. We did make use of fish scales, which we got from the hotel industry. They were very happy. They were surprised as to why we are asking for fish scales. But our purpose was to preserve the look of these scales. They are so delicate, they were colorful scales, and we wanted to preserve all these. So we had to do a lot of processings to do away with the odor. They were delicate, and so they had to be used very well. And obviously, everyone would know that these fish scales are biodegradable, and so we had to look out for experiments and whereby we could manage to preserve these scales. You can see the range of manipulated samples that were done. The aim was to give these the fabrics a very glamorous touch. Design development and prototyping, and you can see all the different designs and prototypes that were made. Well, we went on further to do accessories. Now, what is nice about this project is today we have women who are now taking this further and developing jewelry out of these fish scales. They are embellishing accessories, bags with fish scales, and Mauritius is being able to create a niche market for this. Okay. I would like to present to you a fashion show which we had when we showcased the collection.
Is there a voice also?
No, there's just music.
There's no music that we can hear.
Is it?
We can't hear the music.
Wait, let me.
Take out your earphones. Just plug it out.
Is it better?
No.
Hmm?
But we can see the video.
Sure. Okay. So that was the fashion show. On a concluding note, I would like to say that we will be affected in some way by the choices we and our society makes regarding this earth and its resources. How we can preserve the earth and ensure the continued survival of future generations is all up to us. Thank you.
Wonderful.
You'll have to stop share.
Yeah.
Stop the screen share.
Yeah, just a moment. Is that okay? Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Anaga, it was wonderful sharing so many innovative ideas. I think it was an array of different material, right from kitchen to the ocean. Different material that have been used to create so many sustainable products, including apparel, of course, but there were many other products also. And I think your university, your department is in the right direction, because the UN sustainable goals are the responsibility of each and every one of us. And it all depends on us, what is the role that we all play in shaping the mind of the students, so that the future generation is in that particular in a very good globe, where they are able to enjoy harmony, which today many of us see that there is disharmony in the environment. And when there is disharmony in the environment, it's also creating disharmony within the communities and the self. It is all from individual to global and from global to individual. So I think the steps that you have taken, and especially the kind of projects that the students have been doing under the guidance of the department staff, I think is really worth appreciation. And we have got a lot of appreciation messages on YouTube, which you can definitely enjoy and read them while Dr. Madhu starts with her presentation. And now, can I welcome Dr. Madhu?
Thank you, ma'am.
So now from Mauritius, we are going to UK and we now go to London. Yes, Madhu, welcome to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. First of all, I would just like to thank you for giving me this opportunity. And I should take this time to actually thank Nirmala Niketan and especially the staff of the textile department at Nirmala Niketan for always really encouraging me. I went there when I was really young, so I got a lot of encouragement from everybody, Dr. Dedia, Dr. Rati, Dr. Pratima Goyal, and I had good colleagues like Ritu, Vishakha. So it was nice. It was a journey that I started there and with no plans, but somehow God's plans, I've landed in the UK. No plans of going into the industry, always wanted to be a lecturer, but here I am. So I am going to be speaking on designing, merchandising, and production. Obviously, we will look at how we are as a industry trying to...
View slide. Just go to the view slide down.
Sorry. Which one are you talking about?
Yeah, slideshow. Yeah, there only view. Yeah.
Yeah, is that okay? No?
No. Just down there is that hourglass also. You can click there also. There's an hourglass down.
That I can't see. Hold on 1 second.
No, just go to slideshow first. 1 second. Go to slideshow.
Yeah.
Yeah, just go to slideshow. 1 second. Go to the left one, play from start. No, not, yeah. That one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Better?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Be louder.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Yeah. So I'm going to be speaking on designing, merchandising, and production. Obviously from a very commercial point of view, because we are in the industry. And we're going to look at also how we are trying to bring this factor of sustainability into this commercial use, because to be very honest, it is not extremely easy, but we will talk about it. So, so what we're going to discuss today is look at the role of the designers from a supplier point of view and also as a brand. And I will explain that in my further slides. Responsibilities of a merchandiser, because I do feel that what we understand the role of a merchandiser is quite different. When I came to the UK, it was actually quite different. So we'll talk about that a little bit. Key points of issues and problems in production, or generally also about production, because it is a huge topic. And then we will look at sustainability and recycled fabrics. So first, let's start with design. So in the textile industry, what is important to understand is that we have two main players. That's the suppliers and the customers. Now, if we are the suppliers, then we actually are in the background, and it is the customers who are playing a more important role here, as in directing everything, right from the design stage to what can be used, what cannot be used, how the packaging is going to be, and how the delivery is going to be. So when we speak about if we are a supplier from that angle, how the first thing starts. So inspiration and design, I've just done a flow chart, which will kind of explain how the whole procedure starts. So the first step is that we, the designers, and obviously the production team, will have the meeting with the clients, the customers. The customers, what the group that comes is the buyers and the merchandisers. Now, many a times it so happens that the inspiration that comes will come from the customer side, although our designers will have their ideas, but inspiration comes a lot from the customer side. And herein, the merchandiser plays a very important role, because it is the merchandiser who actually is studying the past figures of the company. So the role of the merchandiser here is what kind of products have done well, what colors may have done well, what sizes have done well, which stores need what. So, all of these factors play an important part. So based on the feedback that we're getting from the merchandiser and of course the buyer, the designer then starts designing products to kind of based on what the customer demands. Obviously, we like from our company, we've got 6 in-house designers, and we encourage the designers to take inspiration from the shows, because we have to remember that ours is a fast fashion company and we have to be in trend. So there is a lot of inspiration taken from the fashion shows throughout the world, the London Fashion Show, the New York and Paris and whatever else. Also, we take a lot of guidance from a company called WGSN, which kind of forecasts trends for colors and shapes and etc. for the year. So that's the first step. Once we get the ideas, once we know the shapes, the colors, at this stage, we also look at what kind of fabrics we want to use, what are the trims that we want to use for our collection. So there is a lot of back and forth. Actually, it's not as simple. We go back and forth many times, because the customer may ask something and the designer feels something else, and then the production has to come into the picture, because all of this has to be done keeping the price factor, the price in mind, because obviously the price is the most important factor when it comes to commercially selling products. So that's how we work with the customer side. But then now we also have gone on to have our own brands. So here it is slightly different, because it is our own brand. So we make our own decisions in terms of everything, like obviously starting from the fabric, the color, the styling, the price factor. Again, because we are a fast fashion, really catering to the 25 to the 35 age group, sometimes even younger, we need to be very aware of what is the trend. So we've got different brands catering actually to different age groups. We've got a brand which really caters to really, really young, starting from 14 to 20, and then other brands. Now, depending on obviously what age group we are catering to, we have a product developer. And so the product developer, the brand designer, we all will get together and we create the designs. Now here what happens is, it's all well and good to have an entire collection, but then we need buyers. So once we've created the collections, then we show the collection to our prospective clients. We have got a lot of clients within the UK and out of UK actually. A lot of online clients, but also a lot of shops where we have our own areas allocated where we can display and show our products and sell them. So that's based on what is the kind of feedback. So herein the sustainability factor comes in, because right from the beginning, if our customers are willing to allow us to use recycled fabrics, then it gives us the encouragement that, you know, we will have buyers for these products. And so we're able to then use recycled fabrics or you know, trims and whatever else. The challenge lies that we are talking a lot about sustainability and recycling, but commercially we don't have many number of varieties of recycled fabrics easily available. So I'm not saying that it is not available, it is available, but the factor here is whether it is easily available for commercial production. Now, most of our production is done, and I would say that that is majority, I would say all over, most of the production and sourcing is done from China, a little bit from India. We also do local production in the UK, but that is very limited because obviously we don't have as many varieties of fabrics. So although we are conscious about this and we are starting to consciously take decisions wherein we can use recycled fabrics, we are limited because of the availability of the different kinds of fabrics. And I will show you some of the designs that we as a company have done. And I'm sure a lot of design houses in the UK are following these procedures. So in terms of the design flow chart, because I'm going to focus more on how a design house works in the UK so that everybody gets an idea. So once, as a supplier, once we've had a meeting with the clients, we've done our collection, we've designed everything based on what they require. Now, any collection could mean samples up to sometimes up to 10 to 20, depending on the customer size. We've got many different customers, and every customer has got a different demand. In, like, let's say we've got somebody known as Dorothy Perkins who are more into buying bridesmaid and bridal collections. So they will focus more on maxi dresses. Then we have young customers like ASOS who focus more on teenagers, young customers, fast fashion, somebody who does not want to spend a lot of money, because for them, the idea is, it is, you know, I'm going out this week or next week, and I want something that's, you know, cheap, but good, probably one wear and two wear, and that's it. And this is the mindset that we need to change if we are talking about sustainability. Because unless we change the mindset of our end customer, no matter what we as an industry try and do, we will not reach that stage where we want to be at, where a customer will understand that this mentality I have of use and throw needs to change. And unfortunately, this mentality is quite prevalent. So yeah, going back to this, so yes, we make the collection, we send it to our customers, and then, you know, we'll get the orders and whatever. Now herein, I already spoke about the merchandisers a bit. So what happens here is that the merchandisers needs to actually be very good at in maths, to be honest, because it's all about figures and numbers. When I say figures and numbers, what I mean is the role of the merchandiser is to calculate what styles have done well in the past. When I say styles, I mean shapes. The next thing is, what are the colors that our customers were choosing, or what was the colors that people tend to look at and buy, spend money there. Then what was the fabrics? Was there any specific trim that the customer really jumped on and constantly kept buying? The role of merchandiser also includes what stores did well with what shapes. Now, it's interesting that, let's say that, we're designing a collection, but the girls in London may want maxi dresses, but the girls in probably up north are looking for short dresses, knee length. So this is where the merchandiser plays a very important role to kind of give the buyer and us as a brand product, like we are designing the brand. So as a brand, give us as a company the feedback that in one collection of 20 styles, I will need 10 styles to be maxis, but I still need 4 knee length dresses, 3 tops, and 2 day to night. When we call day to night is something where a girl could probably wear it to work, but if she decides that she's going out, then she can carry on in the same dress. So there is a lot of these kinds of things, these kind of factors which a merchandiser has to always bear in mind. And based on these figures that we get from the merchandiser is how we design the collection and we put the units down. So then we come to production. Production is actually quite vast. So I will see what I can cover here. I am trying to just, give everybody a rough idea of how from say designing stage to the delivery, what is the process and the flow chart. So now here, once we've got the orders, let's say we've got the orders from the factories, or we as a company have decided what style we want to buy. You will see on the right hand side of the slide that I have shown you like a prototype of what an order could look like. This is an in-house development. It's an in-house software that we've developed for our own company. I've had to take the top bits out because that had information which obviously I could not reveal here. But if you notice over here, so it's got this one style. Now this one style has been made in so many different colors. Sometimes we also, if the customer demands, we can also change the fabric. We can also sometimes, revamp the style in the sense that, you don't need a slit, or you want to change the neck and change it to whatever strapless, and all those kinds of things are happening. But when you say the order, how it's going, so, it's got this image here, the color, and we call, if you see the right-hand side, we call that a docket. So a docket is extremely important because the factories, when this order is sent to the factories, this is what they are reading. And that's why it's so important that, the ratio and the quantity is very clearly given. Now, when we talk about ratio, I'm sure if people have been in production, they will understand that a lot of companies follow ratios like, let's say 1 to 2, 1. Let's say if there are 100 garments ordered, we want 1 to 2, 1, that is 25 in a size 6, 50 in a size 8, 50 in a size 10, 25 in a size 12. Now, this is extremely important because how are we getting to these figures? These figures is based on the sales. Are we selling size 6 more? Are we selling size 8 more? Are we selling size 10s more? So it's based on that. The important factor here is our understanding sitting here in the UK of how we are sending this order to our factories. The message has to be relayed very clearly. So what's important is that the color, the quantities, the total, and then we also have the customer written there, because when it comes to packaging, we may have one style, different dockets for so many different customers. Now, each customers will have different requirements in terms of labeling, packaging, extra tags attached, all of those things. So anyways, this is the order format. I just wanted to kind of show the order format, mainly because I know we've got students here. So it is interesting for students to understand how information is relayed from sitting far away to our factories, and how these information can actually be very, very clear. Today we are using to be honest, when I came to production from an academic field, it was all very new. And in those days, we used to get all our samples made in-house. So we had pattern cutters. So we had designers, pattern cutters, and we had machinists. So the samples would be made in-house. Fabrics for us were generally sourced either from China, sometimes from Turkey, and sometimes from the UK itself. Now, if we have sourced a fabric from the UK, let's take that as an example. If the fabric has been sourced in the UK and we've made the design, trims are from the UK, sold it, now it is time to send the order to, let's say, China, because production is going to be done in China. So then what we need to send to the factories is a production pack. What we call a production pack is, it needs to have the final pattern, needs to have the order sheet like this, then the fabric swatches, because obviously the fabric has been sourced in the UK, so the China has no clue. So in a way, China is working blind. So let's take an example that, I am doing something completely blind. I have no idea of what is happening. That is why the information that a production assistant or a production manager is going to give to the factories is vital, very, very, very important. And if there is a loss here, it could mean in hundreds and hundreds of garments coming in the wrong spec, the wrong fabric, or completely lost in translation. And it has happened with us. That is why this is so very important. So a production pack would include the final pattern, the fabric swatches, the various, whatever swatches we've used, which will include the main fabric, the lining fabric. If there is any trims that's there, then samples of the trims need to go. The factories in China will also need to give in details about what are the neck labels that we need to use, what is the wash care label that need to be used, are we going to attach hanger loops, what is the strap, everything, every single detail. What has happened over the past is, because this meant a lot of back and forth and a lot of work, both sides, slowly we have evolved where our designers actually go to, let's say, China, or we also have production factories in India. So we encourage our designers to go to these places, to source the fabric, stay there for a week or two, and get the entire collection made. Now, in terms of sustainability, what is happening over here is we are slowly trying to reduce the back and forth of samples being sent by the factories for approvals. So, if the designer is in-house in China itself, then and there the comments are made and the samples can be improved or changed, because at the end of the day, taking something from paper to actual is different. What it may look on paper, you may think that, yes, this is good. But what happens is that in actuality, how the fabric is going to fall, how it is going to look is quite different. And you actually need to see a sample for that. So we have reduced, I would say, back and forth by doing this, wherein our designers are encouraged to go to the factory, stay there, get the samples made. However, these are the initial samples. After that, when it comes to the production stage, it always invariably happens that what we've seen initially on the sample in terms of the fabric quality, the color. Somehow when it comes to bulk, there is slight change. And I think as textile people, we know that because, you know, there'll be a slight, maybe even a slight difference in even the temperature or adding the chemical in the dye lot or, you know, human error. So there is always that slight variation. And that is why this is the second point wherein at every step, we need to be very conscious that we are checking the fabric, we are checking the colors. I'll talk about fit approvals in a bit. So for the fabric and color approvals also, I'm not sure whether the textile industry as a whole is thinking about this aspect, but we as a company over the past years have realized that in order to reduce again, you know, going back and forth, wasting time, wasting money, and obviously that accounts to sustainability. We have an in-house production manager who is based in China for a very good part of the year and who helps by approving our fabrics and colors in-house there. So that way, again, we have tried to reduce the back and forth and we are trying to, you know, become sustainable with this factor. In terms of fit approvals, so this is the third point here, we have an in-house technical team. So the first sample, so once the collection is ready, where the designer has been in the factories, whether in China or in UK or in India, we get the entire collection. The collection is shown to the customers. We get the orders. Obviously, if a collection is 40, 50 pieces, we may not get the orders on each and every single style, which is, how do you say, a risk that one has to take. So based on what we are trying to do is obviously fit only those garments that we get an order on. So we've got in-house technical team who will fit the garments. Now, what we've done here again to improve ourselves is over the past so many years, we have been, you know, if you think about it, we've got maxis, we've got proms, A-line dresses, skirts, tops, and whatever else. Obviously, we've got like a master block for each of them and then blocks catering to the various designs. Over the past many years, we have been able to standardize the fits for our maxis, our proms, and, you know, all the various shapes, like the basic shapes. Obviously, then a lot of changes do happen. You know, there'll be slits somewhere and there'll be trim somewhere, which is fine. But at least we've got the basic shapes. Our factories have now been trained in such a way that when we ask for a new style, we tend to give them a reference to an old block which has already been fitted, and we know that that fit was perfect for that block. So that, again, you know, these are little things, but these little things make a lot of difference in terms of how we are trying to reduce time, effort, wastage of material, and, you know, for everybody, it is less back and forth. So obviously, the cost factor. So what happens here is, because the factories have been trained that, you know, you can use this particular block for this particular maxi style, we've seen over the past couple of years that we have reduced samples going back and forth with elaborate fit comments. Unfortunately, there are some difficult styles wherein we still are going up to almost second and third fits. But as a brand, we have been able to now reduce our fits to almost sealing our garments. When I say sealing, I mean confirming the fit. 80% of our brand fits are confirmed on the first fit itself, which is a huge, huge factor not just saving time, but saving a lot of money for the company and for the factory. And a huge factor, if you think about it, in terms of sustainability, because we are saving all these samples going back and forth. So less fabric wastage. Obviously, when these samples are coming, it comes to us by air, and we have to keep that factor in mind. Our carbon footprint, all of us. I think as an industry, textile industry has to look at that aspect also, and we already are, I'm sure. But bearing in mind that textile industry is very fast fashion based, you know, trends come out and it needs to be there in the markets as soon as we can. Otherwise, you've missed the boat. So of course we have to keep that in mind also. Once we have fitted our garments, then it comes to the final is that we will ask for a PP, which means a pre-production sample. Pre-production sample will mirror what we expect in the delivery. Very important for us to check pre-production samples, because bear in mind that we are supplying garments to a lot of our customers, and sometimes the order quantities could very well go into the thousands. And if we are not careful, then our garments could be wrong. And that would mean that we would have to either try and repair the garments or offer a discount. And obviously, as an industry, we cannot afford to do that. So a pre-production sample will mirror the production sample. And when I say mirror, so herein, the production team, the production department needs to not just look at because sometimes, we miss to do that. So when I say production department, the technical team comes under the production department. So we need to look at the fabric, the color, the lining material. Are the hanging loops of the material that we've requested? Are the neck labels correctly attached? Is the care label showing everything that it must? Because there are rules that we have to follow for the care label, wherein I'm sure everybody knows, the composition, where it is made, and care methods, etc., need to be there. The finishing, has the hem been finished correctly? Is the neckline okay? Are the trims okay? Now, when it comes to trims and accessories, our company specializes in making occasion wear. It's a big part of our business. We obviously do other easy day wear garments also, but a big part of our business and what we supply to our customers is occasion wear. When I say occasion wear, it could mean bridesmaid dresses, bridal dresses, which entails a lot of trim work. So there is a lot of embellishment. Obviously, catering to the standards that the industry has come to now in the recent years, not previously, but in the recent years it has. We have to see that we are REACH compliant. I'm sure everybody in the industry has heard about REACH, wherein we need to see that our trims are eco-friendly, that we are not using dyes which are not allowed. I don't even want to name them because I think it's quite basic. Everybody's aware of it. We also export to US, and I'm sure people have heard about the California 65 laws, wherein we have to be extremely careful about what dyes we are using on our garments. What is the procedure we are using to make the trims? Is there any kind of lead on our trims? So there is a lot that goes behind the scenes. The end customer does not sometimes realize. Luckily, because of awareness today, the textile industry is answerable to the end customer, and customers have started asking questions, about what has gone into this product. Not only what has gone into the product, where was this made? Was it made under the correct rules and regulations? no child labor, no slavery. So all of us in the UK have, all of us in the sense that as companies, we have to sign a non-slavery act wherein we have to say that, when we talk about slavery, it brings a very different picture in our mind. But slavery could also include where people are being forced to work overtime and not being paid their wages. That includes slavery. So we as a company have to be extremely careful that the factories that we are using are following all these rules and regulations wherein we are not breaking the laws. There is no child labor, there is no slavery. The conditions that people are working under are ideal. The environment is ideal. And for that, we do conduct audits. All our factories that are being used, we conduct regular yearly audits. Obviously, that is because the industry is changing and no customer is willing to take any products unless we have all these audits in place. So all of these factors actually come under this, this wide umbrella of production. So production does not only mean that you are looking at the garment from its birth to its final where it goes to the markets, but everything else is included in production. I've already spoken a bit about labeling and packaging and delivery. We as a company already are looking at how we can use recycled, eco-friendly products into our packaging and delivery as well, sustainability. We will talk about that a little bit more. Let me move on now. This is it. This is what I was talking about. So from last year, we have launched eco-friendly packaging for all our garments. And our customers actually have been very, very encouraging about this. And we've got a very positive feedback from everybody. What we need to realize is that unless we get the support from the end customers, we as a company will not be able to bring all these factors into play, simply because the moment we talk about recycling, sustainability, eco-friendly, it affects the cost of the garment. But luckily, we as a company have had a lot of positive feedback from all our customers. And what we have done is to encourage our customers, because we do have a lot of young girls as our customers. We have a lot of influencers who are trying to bring this out into the market about being eco-friendly, using eco-friendly packaging, using sustainable products, trying to recycle things. So luckily, we have been able to incorporate all of these things in our production. I will obviously say that, we have not reached the final outcome of it, but it is a process. It says here, the first point is that recycling and sustainability is a journey. It is not something that will happen overnight. And the textile industry has taken this on board and is very, very strongly advocating it. And we are on our first steps. We are trying very hard to bring this factor into play everywhere, not just in our garments, but one has to realize that, it is not just about the fabrics that we are using. When you talk about recycle, think about all the elements that go onto a single garment, the threads that we're using for sewing the garments, the trims that we are using, the labels that we're using, for the labels, the polyester that we're using, is that recycled? So obviously, to reach a stage where we can call a garment 100% recycled will take us time. But we are on that journey. We are very, very conscious about our responsibility, and we are trying our very best to incorporate this into each and every factor. At this stage, it is very important to educate the factories. Now, what happens here is when I say cost factor and availability, so not a lot of fabrics are available in the recycled range. And saying that, when I say available, commercially available, even if they are available, the cost factor is very important. What has pushed us back sometimes is the moment we ask for recycled fabrics, two things that come into play is all the manufacturers who are doing recycled fabrics want huge quantities. And the second factor is that they want they want higher prices, So these two factors obviously play a very important role. Now, I will just refer back to what Anaga ma'am spoke about overproduction when she was talking about sustainability. So I think what the textile industry and the fashion industry, actually, I should say the fashion industry here in the UK has started doing, which is a very encouraging factor. Obviously, as a company, all of us would at times tend to overproduce, and that happens with us also. Sometimes we produce the garments as per the order quantity given. Let's say, we've got an order for a particular style of 1,000 units, which is great. But then we also have to keep some units wherein we are hoping that we will be able to sell it in the future. So there is a risk factor there. So let's say that we've decided the risk factor, we are actually going to produce, say, 1,400 units. Now, it has happened in the past that, we've left over with, say, 200 or 300 units. So what we as a company and the textile industry and the fashion industry at large is doing is that these garments then are sold at discount rates. And we've got lots of markets for this. So it is not like, these go wasted. So we are trying to think about overproduction and see what we can do about this. The second fact that I took from, again, from Anaga ma'am, I'm just referring back to what she presented so that, there is this marriage of the research and then the commercial aspect. So, Anaga ma'am was talking about the waiting, wherein she spoke about sometimes bottlenecks in production and then the waiting period. So obviously the fashion industry, as everybody knows, is fast fashion. Over here, a trend comes and it's high trend for a month, 2 months, and the third month, if you're still wearing those kinds of things, or if you still are not wearing, I'd say selling, because girls still wear it, but selling, you'd be called as, oh, this is old now. This is old. So we have to bear that in mind, and that actually is quite a challenge, because on one hand, we want to be sustainable. We want to reduce our carbon footprint. We don't want to use air to transport our goods, because that is what we had been doing till last year. Because it's fast fashion, sea shipment would take anywhere near to 6 weeks to 2 months. So imagine if my production is going to come in 2 months' time, the trend is gone. So till last year, we used to bring all of our shipments in by sea. Obviously, that was what the customer demanded. But over the past year and before that, discussing with the customers, talking to them, how we can, try and do what. Now we have come to a stage where luckily 90% of all production is being done bearing in mind that these will be in the stores 4 to 6 months from the production time. That way, we have tried to reduce the bottlenecks in production. The waiting factor, the pressure factor has kind of reduced. And all our customers have agreed that they are willing to take shipments by sea. So what that does is obviously gives us time, cost factor, carbon footprint, where we were, calling in goods. We used to get deliveries by air every week, thousands of cartons. So obviously those factors have gone down. So that's that. We spoke about manufacturers need big quantities. Okay, the different kinds of materials. So what we have been able to source as of now, not a lot. I know there is recycled cotton available everywhere, obviously, but we tend to use a lot of scuba, which is like a stretch polyester, chiffon, and luckily for all these materials, we have been able to find manufacturers who are using recycled scuba, recycled chiffon. Obviously, there is the cost factor, but because it is such an important thing and our end customers are being educated, we see more and more young girls, and I will take an example of my own daughter. I mean, she's so conscious about sustainability. So, slowly the mindset is changing where girls want to buy cheap, wear and throw. That mindset is slowly changing because of education. And I feel that for us to be successful in this journey, in this recycle and sustainable journey, the most important step will be educating our customer. It doesn't matter if the industry is aware of it, if the universities are aware of it. It doesn't matter, because if the end customer is not willing to accept this change, no matter what I have to offer to them, I am not going to be successful. And so what we have started doing is, we offer discounts to our customers to send old garments back, which are then recycled. So in this way, we are encouraging these young girls, young women who come to our websites, who are let's say, the main customers for fashion, to think that, these garments that I am buying today, and, who's making them? Where is it coming from? What is the production cycle look like? So all of these, like I said, education is very important. What is holding us back in making our garments completely 100% recycled is we still have not been able to source trims that are recycled. That is quite a drawback, but I was so excited to see Anaga ma'am using all these different trims from recycled, even the fish scales. So exciting. So somehow or the other, we need to marry the research that's been done in universities. I know that in Mauritius already that's happened. We saw the beautiful design, the fashion show. And I hope that we also are able to bring all of this research that's being done, I'm sure everywhere, into the commercial aspect. And one day we can use trims, threads, everything recycled, and have 100% recycled product. But till then, we are still taking small steps, baby steps. And as a company, we have actually we managed to launch recycled collection. So our entire collection was made using plastic bottles, as you can see, and we've got influencers to wear our garments so that more and more people are attracted to these recycled products. And we keep trying with our factories, with sourcing, with various other resources. We'll keep trying to get more and more recycled fabrics. We're encouraging our designers to design entire collections using only recycled products. And like you can see here, we have managed to do quite a bit actually. And herein is our eco-friendly collections made from recycled plastic. So yes, we are trying our very best, and hopefully with lot of these kinds of seminars and lot of collaborations like this, we will be able to come to a stage where recycle will be the in thing for the fashion industry. I would like to thank Dr. Dedia and Nirmala Niketan for giving me this chance to speak here, to actually see what research is being done in various universities, and to, give me an idea that we can, look at collaborations. Our designers have got lots to work with, and it'll be great to see how we can actually put this into commercial designs and sell these kinds of products. So like I said, education is the key, and I'm so glad that we are actually sitting here, all of us, educating each other on this very, very important factor. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you very much. You'll have to stop the screen share.
Yeah, I just did that. Thank you.
Thank you, Madhu. I think it was a very, very enlightening session. And I think the connect from the raw material that and the research that Anagha presented, you carried it further into design and into production, up to the market and up to the consumer. So sustainability at every stage, I think that was the buzzword of the entire presentation. And both the presentations have received a lot of appreciation on YouTube, which you can definitely visit it later on. Right now, we will have a rapid round of questions. I'm sure my colleagues are waiting here with questions. Can we start with you all? You'll have to unmute yourself, Pratima.
Okay. Madhu, you were excellent and it was commendable. I mean, the very truly said that we need to connect the research and the industry commercial points to get the best in the world of textile, in the world of creativity. One question that I had was that in your garments, do you have where we can scan a tag where we can scan and find out, backtrack as to who were the producers and who were the dyers and who were the makers of the garment to the customer?
I'm sorry, we as of now don't have that for the end customer. So like our customers, in the sense our
Okay.
clients, the companies who are buying these products have got a complete transparency. They know what factories we are using. They are welcome to visit our factories. But again, every step is not complete transparent. But we are
But
trying
do
to
you
bring.
think it will help? Yeah. You think it will
Uh,
help the customer? The satisfaction that one gets is immense once you can backtrack.
Ma'am, to be honest about this, unless everybody comes on board, in the sense that, everybody is on board in terms of being completely transparent, cost factors, your production procedures, are you actually honestly doing or using recyclable things? If all of those factors don't come into place, then complete transparency will still take a bit of time, is what I think personally.
True. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, Vibhuti, I think, wants to ask.
Yeah. Congratulations, Anagha ma'am and Madhu ma'am, for a wonderful presentation. I'm really very happy that I've attended this wonderful session. My question to both of you all is same. You can answer depending on your field of specialization is, what are the different ways which you are adopting or will be adopting during this pandemic situation and the post-pandemic situation? So what are the different ways in which you are dealing with this entire pandemic era?
Another ma'am, you go first.
Fortunately, as I said at the start of my presentation, that we are in a very nice environment. We have had cases of the COVID-19, But for the past 2 months, we've not had a single case. Of course, a month back, what we had is just 3 imported cases. And even now, they have all gone home, and after having finished their quarantine process, the borders are closed. So there is otherwise no sort of um, transport that is being there besides the air that was there. We are getting a lot of cargo that is coming, and even that the government is taking absolute care about it. We've started our university. Students have been coming in from the start of this month. Staff gradually seeped in from the mid of May, and July we've had full staff. Schools have started. So in some way or the other, we are kind of, I wouldn't say back to normal, though we are taking care of the situation, and gradually the social distancing is still there because the threat is still there, right? Being a small country, probably it is much easier to handle it. The government on its own is really doing a lot. So in a way, we all feel safe. So in that sense, we I think are in a better position. In fact, the UN has also said that Mauritius is a safe country to travel, though we are not really allowing anyone to come into the country. But being a tourist country, the government is also looking into that, because the economy surely is being affected. And in some way or the other, I'm sure we will try our best to even welcome tourists, taking care. I would say that the people here are disciplined, and that is what has also helped the government. Um, Otherwise, talking about the textile industry, we at the university and at the department, we are closely connected with the textile industry. Uh, the textile industry now has also started work, and they do have a lot of pending work that is there, because nearly for a month and a half, the factory was closed. Factories were closed all around the island. And now they are doing overtimes and getting things in place. So that's the situation in Mauritius.
Thank you. From my end, what I would really hope for this pandemic to do is change how we think about our environment, think how we are treating the world, and really be honest with ourselves, be honest what my relation with the world is, and start looking at how I am exploiting everything. Do I really need this? Do I need new clothes every time? Do I, so kind of just have a complete change in mindset about how we live, how I want to live in harmony with the environment. Talking about obviously the fashion industry, because that plays a very, very important part in the environment. You can see how our rivers are now so clean and so pure. Why is that? We all know that. So I would pray and hope that this brings a change, not just within the industry, but with all our end customers, also with the consumers, where everybody starts thinking twice about the environment and how every decision that I take impacts the environment. I would hope for that.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah. The others, anybody else has a question? Sangamitra, Brinda?
Yeah. Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yeah.
Excellent presentation, ma'am, both of you. Truly inspiring, excellent presentations. I just have a specific question for Madhu, ma'am. I was wondering, when you said the trims, you'll have not tried, I mean, a lot of kind of recyclable material or has not been tried for trims. I was, since you have made stuff from bottles, so I was wondering if polyester kind of yarns or beads or something like that could be tried as embellishment for your garments, which can of course go into the recycle. Have you all done that? Something specific like that?
Thank you. Thank you so much for your question. The problem here is that, yes, all our beads can be made of polyester, but the problem, what we have is, because we are a commercial organization, we need somebody to make it for us and supply it to us. And we have not been able to find that kind of manufacturer. We do a lot of our production in China and in bits in India. We've not been able to find somebody in China who will be willing to provide us this thing at the cost that we need. See, we always have to keep the cost factor in mind, and the quantities we need. We cannot ask for hundreds and thousands of the same color of one particular trim, because it is a fast fashion and it keeps changing every time. So what are we going to do with that stock? So a lot of factors actually are playing up here, but obviously we are trying our very best. And that is something that we will keep trying. Hopefully in the near future, very soon, we will have something.
Thank you, ma'am. I think that's an opportunity for India to get in now.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. Yes. We are hoping that India can help us with this. And we are doing a lot of production actually in Delhi, and beautiful, beautiful garments from Delhi, I must say. Very much appreciated in the UK.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for answering my question.
So much.
Thank you.
Sangamitra, Anjali, Neha, Vishaka.
Hello, Madhu ma'am. Hello.
Yes. Yes.
I want to ask you, Madhu ma'am, how you all are using your leftover material in your which is lying in your inventory. If you can discuss the ways you can discuss.
Very important question, Anjali, and very good question actually. Now, luckily for us as a company, I will only speak from my experience as our company. What we tend to do is we tend to use the same fabric over and over again. So our maxis or prom dresses will generally be made in chiffons with the same kind of lining. The scuba material that we use, we'll constantly keep using it. So, and our factory works very closely with us. We have a very good relation. In fact, we part own the factory. So what we do is, if there is ever any leftover chiffon fabric or lining fabric or whatever, we know for 100% that in the next range, next collection, we will use the same fabric again. So from our factories, we always get a list of what all fabric is on floor and what is the quantity that is on floor. And then we try to get our designers to design based around what is available. Obviously, here the challenge could be that different seasons have different color requirements. But in that case, we are able to store the fabric because the next year, the same colors, we've seen over the past so many years that we are able to use the same common colors. So that way, we are able to use a lot of our fabric. Saying that, I will not deny that sometimes it is not possible and then there is wastage. At that times, the factories are encouraged to see if they can sell the fabrics to other smaller companies or factories within China, within India, so that we are not stuck with it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madhu.
Next.
I have one question, ma'am, Madhu ma'am, this is for you. But before that, before asking a very well presentation you made and very informative presentation it was, I just have a question for you, ma'am. Have you explored specific designs or patterns which have resulted in zero waste? And if yes, then any specific techniques you are following for achieving that?
Neha, in terms of zero waste, I think that's, that would be like, how would you say, the final goal. Because if you think about it, I don't think we have come to that stage about zero waste. Like, let's take an example. We've used recycled plastic bottles to make this scuba collection. But then once the girl wears it, what is she going to do with it? If it is worn and torn out, okay, we're going to take it and we're going to do something about it. But is that zero waste? So I don't think we have come to a stage as an industry where I can say confidently that, yes, there is zero waste. What I can definitely say is that, yes, we are trying our very best to, recycle as much as we can, to use recycled products as much as we can. Zero waste, to me, it looks like there's still time for that. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, ma'am.
Vishaka?
Okay. In today's times, we have, in theory, the concepts of slow fashion, where we need to be, as consumers, be very conscientious of what we are using, what we are buying, and how we are making use of the products. But as business people, Madhu, this question is to you. Suppose we decide that we're going to change the trend and buy less. So then what is going to happen to the industry? Because then the demand is going to drop. So how are you going to hedge on to this concept?
Vishaka, if you think about it, we may think that the demand will drop, but the demand actually will not drop. What will actually happen is that it will spread out. The demand will not drop, like in the sense that I will still be making those 200 garments, but instead of trying to get it in 2 months time, I will try and get it in 4 months time. So the demand will pace out during the entire year and the season. But the only thing what will happen is that rather than it being so fast paced, and again, that does not mean that we are not following the trends. We will still be following the trends as much as we can. Obviously, it'll not go par with the fashion weeks, because obviously the fashion weeks come later. If we wait for that to design our collection, that will take time. But in terms of demand, it'll not actually go down. It'll only be paced out throughout the year, and which is better for us as a company, because then we have work consistently throughout the year, rather than, like Anaga ma'am said, just bottlenecking in during those season times, like autumn, winter, and spring, summer. Rather than that, the production is paced out throughout the year, which is happening with our company, which is happening. We can see it.
Okay, thank you, Madhu. And for Anaka ma'am, one question is, students like to be innovative. They want to try out different things, different substrates. But always this question arises in the mind is whether these products will be commercial, will they have commercial value? So how do we balance such concepts where it has to be innovative, it has to make use of eco-friendly products, it has to look into recycling, but yet have commercial value?
Anaga, we'll just add also the question of Dr. Ritu Madan from the faculty. She's doing it from YouTube, and she sent a question to me on WhatsApp. Is it possible to, this is for you, is it possible to implement most of the projects on sustainability for commercial production? So the question is similar to what you asked. So that's why I've just clubbed it up.
Yeah, okay. So now, well, the appellation of my department is applied sustainability and enterprise development. Okay, so whatever projects we are doing at the university, and especially the final year projects which the students do, they are more geared towards getting these into commercial projects. We are running two programs. One is the fashion technology with minor entrepreneurship, and the other one is a sustainable product design. As this is a small country, we are all into getting students jobs after they graduate, right? Most of our students do get jobs, right? And that is mainly because of the course content that is there. So compulsorily, when they are doing their final year projects, this aspect is taken into consideration to see the commercial viability of the project that they are doing, right? And all students, they do know, the supervisors also, they are aware of this, that the projects that they are doing should in some way or the other be useful to the society, right? So this is like given. If the students already know that they are not just doing the projects for the sake of the project, yeah, and so that they should be able to take the project ahead. We also encourage entrepreneurship. We have the National Women's Council, we have the National Women's Entrepreneurship Council, and we work very closely with them. So we do get industry-based projects, right? And these kind of projects also help to see exactly what the demands of the industry are. So in every possible way, we do try to see whether these projects, they do have a commercial viability. Yeah.
So,
Yes, thank you, ma'am.
So Ritu has also asked a question to Madhu, and the question is the impact of pandemic on the current fashion cycle and the future collection. I think you all are also equally affected there. So
We actually are, thank you, we actually are very, very affected, I'll be honest. As you know that UK, the cases is quite bad. As a country, it has affected us a lot, and as a fashion industry, a lot more, I would say. So right now I get the feeling that we're almost at a standstill. We have got no orders for October, November, or anything of that sort. So we are at a standstill. You know, what we are trying to make is just basic t-shirts, you know, thanking NHS, you know, those kinds of things we are doing right now, because the way it has impacted us, and obviously the entire world, because everywhere is the same, and our main customers are Europe, so it has affected all of us. But we are hoping that come now, because slowly it's opening up, we are hoping that we will start getting orders for, because we, like I said, we specialize in bridesmaid and bridals. So we are hoping that we'll still start getting these orders. Nobody can predict what is happening. The fashion industry has been impacted. Lots of shops have closed. Lots of jobs have been lost. And unfortunately, it is the sad truth that it is affected. I cannot really say what is going to happen. As of now, it does look quite difficult, honestly.
I have a question, and I think that would be the last question because it's already time up. And I would suggest if you all can be really very brief. This is if at all there is any future plans that you all have made, maybe on a discussion with your admin staff or your team of production or students or colleagues or whoever. Is there any plans, alternative plan B, that is being made for the future? Because pandemic is going to stay. We have already crossed 3.5 months, even in Mumbai, and even more in India. And definitely that's affected the Western part much earlier. So it's been a long while since this has happened. So has this been an opportunity to reflect and think on what could be the future direction of research for, in the case of Mauritius, for Anagha, and in the case for design and production for Madhu? This is just I mean, if briefly, if there is nothing, you may definitely call it off.
From my side, I would say, ma'am, that right now we are only looking at how the company is going to survive, to be honest, with what orders we are getting, you know. Obviously, because it is a company which is based on what is the requirement of the customer, we have to see overall how is this going to affect the world in terms of change in mentality. What is the buying trend going to be? What is the customer going to look for in the long run? People still need dresses, people will still need garments. So we still feel that we will still be doing the same thing, but obviously there will be a shift in how we look at buying trends, which is what I'm hoping for. So hopefully that is what I'm thinking of, but I have not had any discussions with the company as a whole. So I would not be able to give more feedback on this. Thank you.
Anagha?
Yeah, where research is concerned at the university, well, that has not stopped. It continues. We also have a number of research organizations that are there. There are research councils. And as I was saying, everyone's back to work. Even during the pandemic, we had not stopped with our research. All the students who were involved with the research, they had to be doing at least something or the other. Maybe they took time to do their literature reviews, or because though the university may have been shut down for about a month and a half, it was business as usual, right? We were having our classes. We were having our classes online. And it just was everything going on. In fact, like from Monday onwards, we are even starting with our written examinations our students have already got back to the research labs, and they are doing, of course, like we are still on a slightly slower pace, and there are protocols which have to be followed. Uh, and we really want to make the most of how things are, and try to organize everything, because we do understand that it may not be the same all through. Though we are slightly on a lower pace, yes, we are just continuing, right? Each one of us at the university, in some way or the other, realize the responsibility. We do understand how this is going to affect, and we want to give our students the best. The students also have been very cooperative, and hopefully things get back to normal very soon.
Yeah, so I think what Madhu said earlier on the reflection on buying practices, on lifestyle, I think as a world, as a participant in the global scenario, especially when the pandemic is hit uh, each and every country almost, I think that is what is required, the inner journey, and whether we require so much, what we require, whether we can get more eco-friendly than we were earlier, although a lot of attempts have been made in different ways by different companies, institutions, whether it was Nirmala Niketan, whether it was Mauritius Department, or be it any fashion institute or design houses. I think that at the consumer level, as consumers, we all need to relook, rediscover, and rethink. I'm sure there are many people, millions of people who are saying, sitting at home, we've hardly utilized 3 to 5 garments, or maybe 10, 20. It's still a number. It's a number. It's a finite number. But when we look at analysis of the number of garments that we have in the wardrobe, I think the number is a little difficult for all of us to count. So we've all learned to live in a finite, materialistic world right now, which we otherwise, our aspirations were very, very high. So this has possibly given us an opportunity to think and rethink. At the same time, it does not mean that the future generations should not live in a design world, should not have change, should not have, you can say, aesthetically or fashion, aesthetic as well as fashion in their world. It should happen. But at the same time, we all need to relook and rethink where all we can create harmony with ourselves and with the environment. And I think that is the only key for sustainability. And with this, I would really like to thank both of y'all, uh, Anaga and Madhu. Y'all have been very good. Y'all have made very good presentations. Your communication skills were excellent. Your presentations made were really good. And the time that you have given on behalf of the entire department and the college, I really thank you all. Even on behalf of, I think, all the students who would like to thank you all from all the various universities and institutes who are participating. I would like to thank you all even on behalf of them. They are on YouTube and they have been giving their comments and remarks, and I would appreciate if they continue to do so for the next 1 minute while the connection will be, it'll be disconnected. So thank you very much. It was a pleasure connecting Anaga from Mauritius after 20 years on an academic platform. Although we've met on conferences in between, and Madhu for the last 13 years that we have not connected on the professional platform. It was nice to connect from UK, London with you. And we hope this connection continues still further. And the joy is with the younger colleagues of mine in the department who would otherwise only hear your names, but now they can connect the names and the faces also. And they definitely know the rich assets that we had in the department. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you for giving. Thank you for giving the opportunity.
Yeah. And thank you to all the viewers on YouTube for your patient listening for the past 2 hours. Thank you so much.